It's time. Keven Kercher is here, shareholder, estate planner, probate, and trust attorney at Ohnstad Twichell in West Fargo. How you doing?
Good, Jeff. Thank you. And good morning, Bonnie.
Good morning to you, Kevin.
Hey, thank you.
So today we're going to be talking about considerable downsizing of tangible personal property. Tangible.
What's that mean?
Yeah, so the simple thing, it's your stuff, right? It's not your real property, your farmland, your house. It's not your cash investment accounts, whether they're investments or saving accounts. It's your tangible items, your personal items that are in your house, your storage unit, your cabin, your lake property.
Like the stuff I see on Antiques Roadshow.
Right. What's going to happen with all of your stuff when you pass away, and who's going to take care of it often becomes a bigger challenge and headache than you would think.
If it's
but what if the kids want to sell it?
Well, then they'll make money off you. But if
I
it's
guess.
just random junky stuff, you don't have to worry. Maybe try to get rid of that because kids probably don't want it. But if it's valuable stuff, they're going to want it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point, Bonnie. It's like if you ever move in your life, if you ever actually took everything out of the garage and put it on the front yard and you realize, holy cow, I have a lot of stuff. Yeah. Just imagine what your family members are going to do. And it's, hey, they're not going to be able to take it over their stuff and store it at their place. They're not going to keep it. Maybe they live in different states. You just start thinking about the work and effort that goes into just dealing with your stuff.
And isn't that normal? People don't think about this. And I've seen so many people go through this where they are now stuck with having to go through the house and everything.
Yes, everything. And then you think every room, every closet, every drawer, every tote, everything you have, they have to go through, and it's making decisions. Do I donate it? Can I sell it and get some money?
Oh.
You drive by and you see the big green dumpsters that sometimes come in the driveway, and it's like the kids are like, I have no other thing to do with this.
And they could be throwing away something that's worth something.
Yeah, and that's the other point that you both have brought up so far. It's even just identifying things of value. I mean, and there's the family heirlooms, that are just priceless because they're family heirlooms. And then there's items that retain value. And it's like, okay, kids, where are they and where are they going, right?
And then there's the other thing that happened to me in my life. Mom left me some things like she did all the other kids. And I got home. And Mom said, this is great-grandma's silver set. So I went and had it appraised. Yeah, right. It's not silver. It's not that kind of silver. So what Mom and Dad thought was so valuable wasn't worth anything.
Yeah, in that case, sure. And I think the other point when it's like, well, often people leave it to the kids in equal shares, right? Leave it to my two kids, Bonnie and Jeff, in equal shares.
Yeah.
Well, Bonnie and Jeff, technically, legally, you both own half of everything. The chair, the couch, the silverware, the TV.
And if we want to get the house ready to sell.
Well, you two have to get together and agree what to do with all that because you're a half owner in everything, right?
It sounds like the responsible thing to do is try to downsize yourself versus making your kids have to clean everything out when you pass on.
And that's true. It's kind of like we always joke about, I'm going to do a little spring cleaning for other reasons just so I feel better. But even for your estate plan, it's kind of like as time progresses, what can I actually give away because I want to, or sell because I want to, or give to the kids early because maybe they can benefit from it. Absolutely.
Do you suggest a family meeting with Mom and Dad to say, hey, we're going to downsize. We don't know when that big day will come, but we're going to downsize now. We'd like you to come over Saturday and just look at some things that we're going to let go of in case you want them.
Yeah, it's actually a great point because you'd be surprised in my conversations with families when I start talking to people, especially when they're getting older and planning. A lot of them will do that. Hey, Kevin, we had the kids over, and it's not to be morbid. It's just like, what would you be interested in, having? Whether it's just like, hey, we have extra stacks of wood in the back garage, or who wants grandma's clock or grandfather's clock.
Yeah.
On the wall over there, and they have that discussion to try to decide.
And
but they don't take it.
with my folks, we have gone there too. Well, we haven't had this discussion. Some of the stuff, like my mom and dad have given a few things away or whatever to the kids or grandkids, but it's like they've got all this stuff. I mean, my dad's 94, my mom's 89. They still live in their massive house, but I think all of us, probably all 7 of us kids, probably think about it, but nobody's going to bring that up to my dad. Like, do you think we should start getting rid of some stuff? It's a hard conversation to have.
It is, especially when lots of times like have a conservative approach, like you hold on to everything because you just don't know what you might need tomorrow. And it's a very important argument, but yes.
But also, you're saying that there's 2 kinds of things. One is that they could take the stuff that Saturday when the family met, or they keep it, but at least they go back to you, their attorney, and say, this is where it's going, and give you a list of what kid's getting what, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty common almost in a lot of states under a lot of statutes. We can put in a will that you can leave a personal property list, and you can refer to, hey, if I leave a personal property list, my tangible stuff, then we have to legally follow your list. So if on the list it says, Bonnie gets whatever, my golf clubs, well, then we give the golf clubs to Bonnie because it's already resolved. We don't have to argue over that.
But Bonnie and Jeff, although they're getting the golf clubs, you're getting the golf clubs, and I'm getting the clock. Do you want to switch? Is that okay?
Yeah, because once it's your gift and you get it, it's your property. You can do whatever you want. So kids have to face that. And kind of the point, what's the alternative? On a rare occasion, every once in a while, if the kids just don't get along and are going to argue about everything, do we have to hire someone to come in and go through everything in mom and dad's house and inventory it all and provide you both with an extensive list so you can go through and circle what you each want?
Yeah.
Can the kids sue each other if one of the kids went into the house and just took it?
Well, again, when I said, in my little example, I said the will left it to Bonnie and Jeff in equal shares. So Bonnie runs over there first, loads up her pickup truck and drives off with all the stuff in there. Who still owns half of it?
Right.
You do.
Right.
And I can sue her at that point.
Well, you can make that argument, like, where's the other half and what are we going to do? So it's not that easy. And of course, that's costly to start suing people.
Oh,
and
my
I'm
gosh,
sure you've
yes.
seen it firsthand many times. I've heard stories from people. Jim has a question related to our topic. Go ahead, Jim.
Hi.
Hi, Jim.
Well, it's more of a comment, too. It's like, you maybe have come across this, too, is that families need to watch out for unscrupulous antique dealers and estate buyers, because they'll come through and start looking at everything, and they might spot a few things that are very high value, but they won't mention it. They'll just offer to buy the whole lot for a certain low price and then walk off with it without you knowing any the better.
Yeah, and some people just might be happy to get rid of, you know what I mean?
Right. Perfect point, Jim. Like you guys all saying, like the silverware, how did you know what the value? Because mom and dad or whoever did some due diligence and let the kids know. So I'm not standing there and there's this antique German, hutch that's worth thousands of dollars from Germany. I have no idea.
Right.
And someone comes through, I'll give you a couple $100 for it. And you're just happy to get rid of it. And you had no idea that you've just been scammed. So
Good point, Jim.
Yeah,
Thanks,
good
Jim.
point. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've got one sister who likes to sell things, so she's already got her eye on this and this and this, and it's just like, whatever. If you know what I mean? Like when mom and dad die, it's like, I want this. It's like, whatever.
So it's also good to do that because back to your guys' point, otherwise the person who made that first, then they don't admit they took it. It just disappeared. Well, I thought mom and dad had A, B, and C, or they had this set of whatever, and you're like, no one can find it. Well, is that because someone got to the family home a little bit earlier? And my big point in that, it is so costly to try to argue over stuff that may only be worth hundreds of dollars. Sentimental might be huge amount, but the price tag to argue over it and try to, get an attorney say you need to bring this back can be very costly.
It can be as messy as a divorce almost in some cases, it sounds like.
Trying to separate it.
What if mom and dad wanted Gladys next door, their friend, to get this, but the kids wanted it?
Well, then again, that's what we use that personal property memorandum for. It could be my good friend Gladys gets all of my craft set because we do crafting together, and there's boxes and boxes and boxes and stuff that mom has or dad has that she wants to go to Gladys. So we make sure that's on that list Because again, that's going to come up. Otherwise, the default may just be to the kids to do that. Right?
So if say I'm the person and I'm, getting a will and I want to get rid of my property or make sure it's divvied up the right way, do you take pictures, or do I bring in a list of everything I think is worth of value when I come meet with you, or how does that work?
Usually what I do, Bonnie, is we talk about it and we provide a list, a draft. So the clients will kind of work through it. Then we'll talk about it. Then they'll refine their written list with, some pretty clear descriptions, serial numbers or descriptions. Or if they're concerned, nothing hurts, taking a couple pictures and sticking it with your personal property list. If you're concerned that I have several of these and I need to clarify who gets what, we've done both.
Is this part of the will, and can that go to what they call probate court or no?
So it's usually part of the will, meaning the will says, if I leave a tangible personal property list, please follow my list. So look for it, and if it's there, then follow it. And when the will gets recognized by the court, we often have the list sometimes recognized too, to make sure that that's where everything goes. Because Gladys next door is now a beneficiary of the estate.
Well, and if it's something that maybe you're done using and that Gladys is going to appreciate it, go ahead and give it to her before you even pass on, right? And then your kids can't do anything about it.
Right, because you've already made a gift during life. And a lot of people do that, Bonnie, as they start realizing or downsizing. It's just like, who could benefit, whether it's a neighbor, a friend, a charity, to do that, or does it really just need to be disposed of and not a hassle?
Let me ask about the worst case scenario, and which I think would be the worst case scenario. They didn't visit Keven, and they die, and there's no will, and the house full of stuff, and 4 kids.
Yeah, so when you don't have a will, state law is going to say where your stuff goes. In this case, to the 4 kids. And it goes back to the 4 kids figuring out, because they all have an undivided 1/4 interest in everything. So you hope that they can go to the home and work together and divide everything that's equal enough between the 4 of them. And we just saved a whole bunch of time, money, and effort. If it's the other case, it is now very, very painful, because all of them, how are we going to spend hours dividing up and figuring out who gets what?
And what does the judge do in the case that they can't get along and they hate each other? Does the gavel go down, you're getting this, or?
I would suppose, fortunately, most of them work out, because it's way expensive to get to court to overall the stuff. But when you go there, it would probably be proposals to the court from each of the attorneys, like who gets what and who gets why. And then we'd have to figure out values, because the court's going to the best I can do is how much are they worth, right? And then value-wise, to make sure that Bonnie got $10,000 worth of stuff and Jeff got $10,000. So you can imagine it's putting lists and arguments to the judge, and finally someone's got to say, well, this is your
And you're
stuff.
working with sizable estates at times, aren't you?
Yes, you are. Yes, some of them do that. So if you have stuff could be ATVs and boats and classic cars, and when you get into that, it's bigger price tags.
They're out there.
Well, to head off the fights and hurt feelings and everything, take care of stuff ahead of time. Best way to get a hold of you folks over there at Ohnstad Twichell Law Office, Keven?
Yeah, Barney, the best way is to phone 701-282-3249. You can also go to our website at Ohnstad Twichell for information.
Excellent. Thanks for coming in.